Hi, I'm Shakti Durga. Welcome to the Goddess Speaks podcast. This is a collection of discourses from the ancient goddess Artha, containing spiritual energy and activations and discussions of those discourses. I hope that the teachings are beneficial to you on your personal journey of enlightenment. We welcome Mother Artha, who today is coming to us on the earth plane, dressed in a robe of emerald green and blue like sapphires, smiling with her full knowing of each one of us. She meets us at a place where there's a waterfall that is very large compared to the size of our bodies, but about the same size as her body. And the waterfall is pouring forth not just the water, but also the Parabrahma. And because of the desire for us to learn about this, it's studded with light. It's studded with whiteness and also with the light of millions of jewels that within the water pouring forth on this waterfall, there are tiny jewels of all of the types of the precious stones that you know, but they are also part of the water. And the light, the sunlight on water, that blinding light of sunlight on water, in which you see sometimes rainbows, very brilliant, is this place of meeting with Artha now. And greeting Mother Artha, who comes to you in the earth plane, standing with her feet on the earth and connecting with her essence, which also can contain all of Artha. And see her wearing the sun as a kind of an ornament within her crown. And today she also brings forth her book that stands by itself, supported by the light issuing forth from the waterfall. And she flips through the pages of the book until she comes to a place where she wishes our consciousness to go. And she calls our consciousness to her as a goddess can do. And you may feel yourself enveloped by a sense of belonging, a sense of love and familiarity, a sense of the beingness of this vast one, and how Artha is not separate from the inner Parabrahman. And as we cultivate the Parabrahman, we find that we are not separate from Artha, from each other, or from any of the divine forms. Allow your Ajna Chakra to expand with the gaze of Artha upon it. Startling green eyes has she. And just feel the light in her eyes, awakening something within your Ajna Chakra. Until an emerald comes forth within the Ajna Chakra and drops into the book of Artha, which will assist you with the journey she takes us on. Namaste, beloved ones. After this time of rest and integration, it is indeed wonderful to be back with you again and to watch the surges of light and consciousness that are playing forth within each of your beings. These surges of consciousness are in the nature of growth, but can be destabilizing in the short term as they make one look at parts of life that we may have chosen to sweep under the carpet and pretend is not there. There is much unkindness spoken about the spiritual bypassing phenomena, but this truly is a misunderstood phenomena, for all souls develop in unique ways. And what is primary and first step for one soul may be step 65 for another soul. And it is the judgment that causes more damage than anything. For if a soul is left to its own devices, it will naturally leave no stone unturned in its progress to oneness, fulsomeness, and wholeness. To think otherwise is only to project the human consciousness upon the stratums of consciousness that exist, by which one is judged as superior to another, and one is seen as first, another as last. All of these things are far more subtle than the prevailing consciousness would have you believe. Remember, beloved ones, that beliefs, regardless of how noble they might be, are only veils across the essence of who you really be. And most of the beliefs we hold are not that luminous. But even a luminous belief is still a belief. Listen to this point, beloved ones. The time that we take up in our lives in worrying about what we believe could be spent instead pursuing the essence of who we be. And as the essence unfolds within us, the uncertainty of the mind and the worry that it creates is naturally released. The mechanisms that you learn through lift, igniting your spirit, are helpful in the connection with the essence and the working out of the mind stuff that is at once one's identity and one's imprisonment. It is normal, beloved ones, and necessary for there to be a sense of identity. And it is not the identity per se, which is at issue here, but rather one's attachment to it. And the distortions through which one sees one's own identity, which are caused by the operation of the mass consciousness upon one's own inner landscape. All of this is the veil of Paraclete. It is not something that is evil. It is not intrinsically wrong or bad. It is part of the divine design for there to be a realm of choice and free will available. That there are beings who stand outside of this drama that unfolds is certainly true. Many, legion, are the light bearers. Many, legion, are the forms of God that do not go through the polarity of the human soul, but as it was your own volition to have the experience of moving out of the eternal kingdom of light and to be pioneers and explorers in landscapes that are diverse and challenging. So it is that one brings back from these adventures an enriched consciousness, similar to the way that natural uranium coming from the earth must be enriched before it can be used for various purposes. And whilst the comparison is a difficult one in some ways, as what is enriched is often used for destructive purposes, true it is that the uranium within the earth could not cause the explosion of light that the enriched uranium is capable of causing. If we take away the negative ideation from this situation, take away the destructiveness, and just use the metaphor to understand consciousness before it is enriched and after it is enriched, that it is still part of the one whole. But before it is enriched, it cannot do what it can do after it's enriched. There is a potency and a brilliance, and yes, one could say a destructive force held within this enriched consciousness. For when it is enriched properly through divine grace, it will wish to build only that which the divine would build. And there is a disintegration, a dissolution of that which may have been built in an attempt to please the divine, to build in accordance with divine design. But as the consciousness becomes enriched, we see how much more clearly things can be done. We understand that there is no distinction between doing, doer, and result. We understand that the divine can be the mover, the consciousness, and can bring forth the divine will into the creation. These things cannot be forced, beloved ones. And the further you go along this path of enrichment, the more gentle and nuanced the guidance must become. And the consciousness alone is what will bring you into the realms of bliss, understanding, empowerment, and creativity beyond anything that you've imagined previously. Calling forth now the angels who hold the creative energies and sending your love to these creative angels who work with you and alongside you all the time, smoothing the way, and sending love to them, and allow love and the will to do good to be your mentor companions, as well as the energy and consciousness you bring to that which you seek to create. Difficult as it is to remember, the universe is alive and sentient, and you have your life within it. That you feel disconnected from the universe is a problem of consciousness as perceived by the human soul in process of becoming the Parabrahman in the enriched way. Allow for the light of the sun to come now in through you, to bring forth the highest and best attributes of your personality, not to change you, beloved ones, but to delight you, that you be more you, and that as you come into oneness with the Parabrahman, there's a graciousness that develops, a natural conception of the unity of all things, a natural conservation of energy, and a natural knowing of how you can be helpful, how you can serve with efficacy, and how you can bring more beauty to the created world. It is true, beloved ones, that there is a presence within the earth that is divine, and a presence within the sun that is equally divine, that there is the presence of Artha here with you today. But as you wish, you may also perceive of these energies as being combined in one, and allow these energies to combine also with you. The safest way to enter into these spheres of magnificence is in union with another human soul, a guide or mentor. And this is the gift the divine gave to the world in the form of Guru. But it is not for the worshipping of the Guru, but for the utilization of the Guru as a channel through which your connection to the infinite is amplified. And this amplification may take years. It may take lifetimes. It will take place between lives and support you wherever you be. But it is your journey to discover the oneness, that you are not separate to the Guru, you are not separate to Parabrahman, that the bliss resides in you. It just goes to sleep. And as we allow the veils to part, we find the bliss waiting for us. And it can be thought of also as a lamp in the darkness, where any area that one wishes to explore, one takes this lamp with us, and the lamp will show us things that our eyes would be unable to detect were the lamp not with us. It is still our eyes that do the seeing, and our consciousness that comprehends what we see. But through the light of the divine gift of Guru, one can see with greater clarity. Artha is always here for all souls, and Artha can be called by any of the names of any of the goddesses of any of the traditions, and has been. Artha can create mini images of Artha suitable for the consciousness of the group which call to her. It is greatly appreciated that the group consistently does the practices that enable the stability for this group to continue the exploration of the subtler mysteries, and takes the time for the integration of these mysteries, and thus forming an ever stronger, more robust platform upon which to stand to launch oneself into the Parabrahman, which is endless and boundless. Recall the instruction as to your daily practices, and ensure that the sun does not set on you lest you have done your practices. For the spiritual food that is sent through the practices to support you in your life and your growth, truly, beloveds, is related to the sun and its cycle. And when the sun moves away, the food must have been integrated by then to sustain you overnight, and the feeding recommences the next day through the practices. Do not neglect your practices or regard other things as more important. And whilst circumstances occasionally dictate that your practices are done at a time different to what you would intend, do not neglect to do the practices before the sun sets on you. This ancient teaching is now revitalized for your edification. And Artha, on behalf of all of the goddesses and gods, angels, and holy presences, bid you namaste. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Goddess Speaks. If so, please share it with your friends and your family so they can benefit too. If you'd like to connect with me, visit my website, shaktidurga.com.